She pulled a small log from a box and added it to the fire. When she turned to Ellen, she was smiling. She put her hands on her shoulders and looked into her eyes. "Now tell me your real name, young lady." "Why," cried Ellen in surprise, "I'm a—" Mistress Shannon put her arms around her. "Never did I see a boy make such a pretty curtsy as you made a few minutes ago." Ellen gasped. Had she curtsied? How could she have been so stupid? It must have been her stocking feet that made her forget her disguise. "I just don't know," she stammered. Mistress Shannon's eyes were shining proudly as she looked at her. "Tell me your name," she begged. "Well," Ellen admitted, since there was no reason to be secret any longer, "my name is Ellen Toliver." Mistress Shannon chuckled, and then she burst out laughing and quickly covered her mouth with her hands. "Oh, the things we do to fool those redcoats!" she giggled. "All day long I pretend I'm a loyal subject of the king, out there in the tavern singing away like a bird in a cage, and you pretend you're a boy with nothing but a loaf of bread in your kerchief." She patted Ellen's cheeks playfully. "But we fool them, don't we, Ellen? And we get important messages through the lines to our enemy." Ellen felt so good and so relieved thinking how she fooled everyone, she began to laugh. She was carried away by such gales of laughter she had to stuff the green apron in her mouth to keep from being heard in the tap room. She felt silly with the apron in her mouth, but she just could not stop. Every time they looked at each other, the plump little woman with a flag in her white hair, and the girl in leather breeches and a boy's jacket, they burst out laughing again. Mistress Shannon took time to bring Ellen a hot pot pie from the kitchen to eat in front of the fire. Then she brought a mug of warm milk, and next a shawl to wrap about her legs after she had hung her stockings by the fire. Every time she came back, Ellen told her more of the story, about Dow and his eagerness to eat the bread, and the pig, and how Mistress Murdoch almost stole her breeches. Now that she was safe, Ellen could hardly believe the things she told Mistress Shannon. They seemed so far away already. Suddenly she could hardly hold her eyes open. Mistress Shannon pulled a trundle bed from under the big bed and put a heavy blanket on it. She gave Ellen one of her nightgowns and a nightcap, and bustled about the room, carefully spreading out Ellen's clothes to dry. "You are snug and safe now, Ellen," she said softly. "We'll send you back home early in the morning." Ellen fell heavily into the comfortable bed. Sleep came so quickly she barely heard Mistress Shannon call to her from the doorway. "You've earned a good night's rest, Ellen Toliver."